quantum computing stock crashed by as much as 50% in a single day. And surprisingly, the news that caused the stock price to crash by that much had arguably nothing to do with the company itself. So why is the stock price crashing, and is it a buying opportunity for long-term investors? I'm going to address those questions in this video, so let's get started.
I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now.
You can see the price chart here for quantum computing, ticker symbol QUBT. The price is down 38% over the last 5 days. But you can see that single day on January 8th, when the stock price crashed by as much as 50% on the back of news that had arguably nothing to do with the company. What was that news? Well, a CEO from another company, NVIDIA, made comments about the quantum computing industry overall and made a forecast that we wouldn't have useful quantum computers for at least 2 decades. And those comments sent quantum computing stock price crashing by as much as 50%. Can you imagine that? A company losing half of its value based on comments made by a CEO of another company that's not even in the industry that quantum computing is in? That was surprising to me. But when I zoom out and I look at the price action of quantum computing over the last 3 months, it makes more sense to me. So if you look at the price action over the last 3 months, the stock price had soared by over 3,000% in a relatively short period of time. This is also extremely rare for a company to increase by that magnitude in such a short period of time. That was a rare burst. And so this pullback here might be an adjustment from those early gains. It might be investors saying, well, let's take some profits. It might be investors saying, well, let's be a little more cautious because it's already gone up by so much so quickly. So it may not have just been those comments from the CEO, and I don't think it was. If those comments by the CEO were made before this stock price soared by over 3,000%, I don't think the price would have decreased by 50%. If this was, let's say, if these comments were made in November, when the price was still not much higher than it was, then the price may have decreased, but slightly. I would say maybe 4, 5, 6%, or 10% at the most. But with the price jumping by 3,000% without very much justification for the increase, that was the other big thing, right? The price, if you haven't been following these quantum computing stocks for a while now, the reason there was a big surge in these prices was because Alphabet made a breakthrough in its quantum computing division, and that created a whole enthusiasm for the industry. And that created a surge in stocks like quantum computing, IonQ, Rigetti, D-Wave, etc. They all experienced a surge of varying magnitude, but hundreds of percent at the very least, and thousands of percent for a couple of them like quantum computing. And so that was a similar scenario, although with more justification because there was actual tangible improvement in the technology that was demonstrated. The capabilities of the technology were proven. And so there was a reason for the prices to increase. You can argue, and I would argue that more than 3,000% was way too much. It was way overdone. But that's how this market has been in the last few months. Ever since the elections in November, there's been this enthusiasm, these animal spirits in the stock market, and any news to the upside, any positive news creates this surge in price action, whether it be for quantum computing stocks specifically, or cryptocurrencies, or other growth stocks, unprofitable growth stocks, whatever speculative growth stocks. They've all experienced this lift as a result of the enthusiasm from the election results, where the Republicans won all 3 branches of government and There's speculation that they're going to deliver favorable policies for businesses, deregulation, etc. That's going to be helpful for nearly every US business, is what the markets interpret as the outcome of the election. And so you had that scenario coupled with that breakthrough in quantum computing, and that combination created that explosion that led to that huge 3,000% increase, which in my opinion was too much, right? I made videos suggesting that, investors should remain cautious, that this industry is still decades away, still a very long time away from finding commercial applications for this technology that'll result in revenue and profit and cash flow. Speaking of revenue and profit and cash flow, those are largely non-existent for quantum computing. It generated $386,000 in revenue in the trailing 12 months. Many of you watching probably made more money in your trailing 12 months than this entire company did. And so it's very early stages in this company's development. You can even argue that this is a pre-revenue company, a company that has yet to generate revenue, because $386,000 for a publicly traded company is pretty much non-existent. It's almost equivalent to having zero in revenue. And so when you're not generating revenue, but you've got a whole company that you're operating and spending significant sums, millions of dollars on research and development, it's leading to these huge losses on the bottom line, negative 6,000% operating margins and negative 4,000% cash flow margins. But that's less informative when you're looking at these pre-revenue type companies where the bulk of their business is going to come somewhere down the road, maybe 10 years down the road, maybe 15 years down the road, maybe 5 years down the road. And revenue could be hundreds of millions of dollars or billions of dollars. And right now you're dealing with very early stages. So it's mostly a option you're taking on this business that one day they're going to develop this technology with commercial application, and it's going to generate tens of millions or hundreds of millions in revenue, and that's going to lead to huge gains. But that's mostly speculation because it's hard to pinpoint precisely or with any kind of range for these numbers. It's hard to pinpoint a range and say it's going to be between 5 million and 10 million or 5 billion and 10 billion. It's hard to pinpoint that because we haven't seen the applications. We haven't seen what's possible. And so all we can say is that there's a huge potential, but we don't know if the potential is worth the risk. So these are for the very risk-seeking investors who are looking for something high risk, high reward. And so this price decrease, I don't think, it's down from a forward price to sales of 1/2,000 to 1,461, but the company's not really generating any sales. So even this valuation metric is not very informative. All I can say is that, is this dip a buying opportunity, or should you buy quantum computing stock because the price fell by 50% following that news? I would say no, because the price should have never increased by 3,000% to begin with. So this could be taken as an adjustment to that earlier price increase, which should have never increased by as much. And I agree, it shouldn't have fallen by as much on the back of these comments, but I don't think it makes it a buy, in my opinion. I'm still rating this stock as a hold.
Hey everyone, so many of you have been asking about my investing strategy, and I'm excited to announce that I've written a book that's available for sale now that describes my 6-step investing framework for evaluating stocks. I've added the link in the description below.